She thought it was just a fleeting encounter, an actor lost in the city asking for directions. But months later, he appeared again, in a place she never could have imagined, her daughter's classroom. What she discovered next would turn her quiet, ordinary life upside down, leaving her questioning everything she thought she knew about the man and herself. Hello, my friends. I am Olivia, and this is Olivia's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I had always been someone who preferred the quiet rhythm of life, the hum of my vacuum on Saturday mornings, the smell of my daughter's hair shampoo after school, the soft rustle of pages as I lost myself in a book while the world outside buzzed by. My name is Claire, and after my divorce, I clung to this ordinary, predictable life like a lifeline. Stability wasn't glamorous, but it was safe. My daughter, Lily, was my universe. Everything I did, every dinner I cooked, every bedtime story I read, was for her. That afternoon, I was running late. Lily's ballet recital was in 2 hours, and of course, the traffic in the city was its usual nightmare. I was gripping my steering wheel with a mix of irritation and guilt, telling myself I was a terrible mother for being late, when I noticed a man standing on the corner, squinting at a crumpled piece of paper. Something about him seemed oddly familiar, but I dismissed it. "Excuse me," he called, and my heart skipped in a small, inexplicable flutter. "Can you help me? I'm looking for, Pine Street?" I smiled politely, leaning slightly out the window. "Oh, yes. You'll want to take the next left, then a right. It's only a few blocks from there." His face lit up with relief, and he thanked me, his voice low and calm, almost musical. Something about him felt cinematic. And then it hit me. He was a famous actor. I had seen him countless times on the screen, but here he was, in the middle of my mundane Wednesday, looking just like a regular man, trying not to seem lost. I remember thinking, briefly, how strange fate could be, to brush against someone so untouchable in the normal, cluttered corners of life. I turned back to my car, heart still slightly fluttering, trying to shake off the surreal feeling. That was the end of it, or so I thought. Weeks passed. Life resumed its usual cadence: homework battles, grocery lists, ballet shoes scattered across the living room floor. I had almost forgotten the encounter entirely, tucked away in the corner of my mind like a strange dream that doesn't quite make sense. Then, one morning, as I walked Lily into her new school for the first day of the semester, I froze. My coffee cup nearly slipped from my hand. There he was, not under the glare of a movie set or the bright lights of a premiere, but in the soft, fluorescent glow of a classroom, writing on the board. He turned, and our eyes met. My stomach lurched. It wasn't a fleeting hello this time. It wasn't coincidence. The man who had once asked me for directions was about to be my daughter's teacher. The classroom was buzzing with the soft hum of children settling into their seats, the scrape of chairs on linoleum, and the faint rustle of backpacks. I stood frozen just inside the doorway, gripping Lily's hand so tightly I thought she might protest. But she didn't notice my hesitation. She was busy waving at a friend across the room, oblivious to the storm swirling inside me. He noticed me immediately. The corners of his mouth lifted in a small, polite smile, the kind actors have perfected, a smile that could charm a room full of strangers without seeming rehearsed. And yet, there was something different about it this time, a flicker of recognition, almost hesitation. My heart thumped painfully against my ribs. "Claire?" he asked, his voice low, almost a whisper, as if testing me. I forced a casual nod. "Yes, hello." My voice sounded strange even to me, tight and shaky. The bell rang, and the classroom suddenly became a whirlwind of tiny feet and high-pitched chatter. Lily ran to her desk, and I found myself lingering near the doorway, unsure whether to leave or stay. He started the lesson, but I couldn't focus. Every time he turned to the board, every time he wrote a word with careful, elegant strokes, my mind replayed that afternoon months ago, the lost actor, the crumpled map, the awkward thank you. And now he was here, standing in front of my daughter every morning. After class, as the children filtered out into the hallway, he approached me again, this time with a more private air. "I didn't expect to see you here," he said quietly. You have a daughter?" "Yes," I replied, trying to keep my tone steady. "This is Lily. She's excited for her first day." I felt a twinge of protectiveness, an invisible shield rising between us. Something about his presence made me aware of every flaw, every insecurity I had tried so hard to hide since my divorce. He glanced down at Lily, a soft, genuine warmth crossing his features. "She seems wonderful," he said, almost softly enough that only I could hear. I nodded, uncertain if I should say anything else. But before I could, he smiled again, that same polite charm from months ago, and then he turned to speak to another parent. And just like that, the fragile thread connecting us in that brief, strange familiarity snapped, leaving me with a swirl of questions and a strange ache in my chest. For days afterward, I couldn't stop thinking about him. The idea that someone so out of reach, so utterly untouchable in the glossy world of film, was now a part of our quiet, ordinary lives felt surreal. I found myself watching Lily interact with him, noticing how carefully he listened when she spoke, how his laughter carried an easy warmth. And with each passing day, the more I realized I was seeing something I hadn't expected, a side of him no one else ever saw. Not the cameras, not the scripts, not the red carpets, just him. But then came the moment that made my chest seize. One afternoon, as I picked Lily up from school, I glimpsed him speaking quietly to another teacher near the playground, and then he looked directly at me, a flicker of something unspoken in his eyes. My pulse raced. Something was coming, something I couldn't yet understand, but I felt deep in my bones that my life was about to change in ways I had never imagined. Days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of school life began to settle into a delicate pattern. Lily adored her new teacher, my actor, whose name I finally learned was Adrian. He had a way of making lessons come alive, weaving stories and laughter into even the driest subjects. And yet, for me, every interaction with him was a collision of emotions I didn't know how to name. Curiosity, apprehension, and something far deeper, something that made my chest tighten without warning. One afternoon, I stayed behind to volunteer in the classroom, hoping to catch a glimpse of Adrian in a casual, unguarded moment. The kids were at art class, leaving us alone in the quiet room, sunlight spilling through the tall windows and dust motes dancing in the golden haze. He was stacking papers, humming softly, a tune I couldn't place, but it tugged at the edges of my memory. "You've been quiet," he said, looking up, his expression both gentle and probing. "Something on your mind?" I swallowed, unsure if I could trust myself to speak. I guess I'm just surprised. Seeing you here, with Lily." My voice sounded small in the cavernous room. "It's unexpected." He paused, and I noticed a flicker in his eyes, a shadow of something I couldn't name. "It's unexpected for me, too," he said quietly. "I didn't plan on teaching here. Life, it has a way of surprising us." I studied him, suddenly aware of the quiet intensity in his gaze, the way he carried himself with a grace that felt natural yet unshowy. There was a vulnerability there, a depth that made my chest ache. And without warning, he added, I remember the day you gave me directions. You didn't know who I was. You treated me like anyone else. I never forgot that." My heart skipped. The memory hit me in full force. The sun reflecting off the asphalt, the crumpled map in his hand, the brief connection that seemed insignificant at the time. I hadn't known it mattered to him. Before I could respond, the classroom door creaked open, and Lily bounded back in, her laughter filling the room. Adrian's face softened immediately, the serious weight of the moment lifting as he knelt to greet her. Watching him interact with my daughter, I felt a strange mixture of admiration and fear. Admiration for how effortlessly he drew her in, and fear for how deeply I was being pulled into something I hadn't planned for, something that could shake the foundation of my ordinary, safe life. Later, as I drove home, I couldn't stop thinking about Adrian. There was a pull between us, unspoken yet undeniable. But with that pull came a wave of questions. How much of him was real? Was this just an innocent teacher, or was he hiding a life far beyond my comprehension? And if he was hiding, would I even want to know? Then, one evening, as I tucked Lily into bed, I heard a soft knock at the door. My stomach twisted. I wasn't expecting anyone. And when I opened it, there he was, Adrian, standing there, a hesitant smile on his face, holding something in his hands. My breath caught in my throat. I think you should see this," he said softly. And in that moment, I realized whatever ordinary life I had clung to was gone. The secret he held in his hands was about to change everything. I took a shaky breath, my fingers brushing against his as he handed me the small envelope. My heart pounded in a way I hadn't felt in years, a mixture of fear and anticipation. Lily peeked from behind her blankets, curiosity lighting her eyes, but I gently shooed her back. This was between him and me. "I found this the other day while cleaning my apartment," Adrian said, his voice low and steady. "I wasn't sure how to give it to you, but I think it's time." I opened the envelope slowly. Inside were photographs, snapshots from the day he had asked me for directions. But these weren't just casual street photos. They were behind-the-scenes images from a film set. And there, in the background of every shot, was me, walking by completely unaware. On the back of the last photo, a handwritten note read, "You saw me as just a man, not a celebrity, not a story, just a person. I've never forgotten that kindness." I looked up at him, stunned. The weight of it hit me. Not just that he was famous, but that in the ordinary shuffle of life, I had made an impact without even realizing it. And now, here he was, part of my daughter's life, part of my life, without the pretense of Hollywood, without the spotlight, just Adrian. "I never expected this," I whispered, my voice catching. "Seeing you again like this, in Lily's classroom, it feels impossible." He stepped closer, eyes soft and unwavering. "Life isn't about expectations, Claire. It's about moments. And this, us, it's a moment I never want to let go of. But I need you to know I'm not here as an actor or a public figure. I'm just here for Lily and for you, if you'll let me." Tears blurred my vision. Part of me wanted to retreat, to cling to the ordinary life I had built. But another part, the part that had fluttered when I first saw him standing on that corner, the part that had been quietly drawn to his warmth for weeks, told me to step forward. I don't know what to say," I admitted. "Everything feels overwhelming." He smiled gently, taking my hand. "Then just say you'll let me be a part of your life. No scripts, no cameras, just us." At that moment, Lily ran up to us, wrapping her tiny arms around both of our legs, laughing. "Mom, Dad, wait, I mean, Mr. Adrian, you're here." I laughed, the tension melting away in a wave of relief and joy. Adrian crouched down, smiling at her, and in that instant, I realized something. Life had a strange way of giving second chances, not just at love, but at connection, at family, at moments that mattered more than fame or expectation. As we walked home together that evening, the sun dipping low over the city, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. Adrian was here, not as a celebrity, not as a stranger, but as someone real. And for the first time since my divorce, I allowed myself to believe that ordinary life could suddenly feel extraordinary.